let's take a look at 212.1 in the food standard. If you're not too sure about the difference between validation and verification, you can take a look at the video made by my colleague Oscar. This clause, 212.1, is about validating the HACCP plan. And I think people get stuck on this clause because the scope of it is just so huge. We all understand how to validate something like an allergen cleaning procedure because the scope is quite specific. But when it comes to validating, which is all about proof that something will always be safe, for example, when it comes to gathering that proof for something as big as the HACCP study, we get a little bit lost. What this is essentially is a collation of all our efforts to give us confidence in the HACCP plan. So when you look at your flow diagram from intake, for example, all the way through to dispatch, there could be several opportunities there to prove to ourselves that our control measures are effective. Some of that proof will be validation studies that are specific. For example, yes, our prerequisite programs like allergen cleaning have been validated, or our metal detectors and the performance of those CCPs have been validated. We've got confidence that they will always perform as expected. So when we look at the validation of the HACCP plan, it is in fact collating together all those individual validations as well as taking evidence of all those verification activities that we've been doing, as well as looking at how the product has been performing and collating all of that evidence into an overarching validation activity that gives us confidence in our product. Now, in 212.1, this is essentially saying that we need to do this activity before we implement any changes. So obviously when something's new, we validate it. When we plan to change something, product, process, equipment, we need to check and get proof that that change is not going to impact on our product safety or legality. Now, we know that HACCP is all about safety and legality, but the topic of validation is not restricted to those 2 points. The general topic of validation can extend to other things like quality, efficiencies, waste. So feel free to expand the scope of your validation. We only focus on safety and legality when it's within the realms of HACCP. But the exercise in itself can be a broader exercise. Absolutely. Now, if nothing has changed, you've got an existing validation of your overall HACCP plan. Nothing has changed in the last 12 months, for example, then there's going to be no new validation necessarily that you need to show your auditor. Perhaps for your own sake, you like to revalidate something like a CCP every year. Maybe you like to do it every other year or every 3 years. That's up to you. And that is also based on the stability of your process. The capability of your process will dictate the frequency of revalidation activities. But if nothing's changed, technically you do not need to revalidate except to meet your own requirements. So if nothing has changed, you don't necessarily need to show your auditor anything related to 212.1. And this is made clear when we take a look at the next slide here. What if there have been no changes? That's when 212.2 and 212.3 kick in. That is just to continue with your ongoing verification activities to check that things are performing well as expected. And the review stage is your periodic annual, minimum annual review to show that nothing has changed and to show that when you look at the trending of your complaints, for example, when you look at the trending of internal non-conformities, for example, that in fact everything is under control. I hope that's useful. More videos will follow.